नमस्कार पानी गएबो मु गोटे जगह को जाइथिले दौड़ी दौड़ी के आसुची
Your microphone is on. On equal days, left parent outside in, right parent join. Bogey, your microphone is on.
मैडम आपन 18th क्लास ता सैटरडे कर दबा ना नेक्स्ट 25th रे करबा
काई सुबुनी काई के मो कथा am I audible मो कथा सुबुनी
Yes, ma'am.
Bogey, alert with app.
मो मैम बचल छ अपन जो 18th क्लास ता जो 18 जो क्लास ता बंद करे ना माने शनिवार करबा ना 25 रे करबे 17 16 आर यू फ्री
एबे सुबुची
With apps is visible. Use Windows Window to focus.
कोना
मु कहले एथरा आरंभ करिबा
Bogey, your microphone is on.
मु कहले आरंभ करिबे
हां आरंभ कर नोड नाही मैडम मु पचर छी कोन ए जो 18 तारिख जो क्लास का बंद करिया कहउछि ने आपण सैटरडे करिवे कि सैटरडे फ्री अछि कि 16th रे
नहीं सैटरडे 16th रे आपण नहीं 16th रे हे परिबने आपण
ठीक है 25th ठीक अछि
25th नु है मु देखुतले 24th ता रविवार मु
24th
हां 24th ता रविवार आपण मते कहिले
हां हां यू विल कीप इट 25th रा होली अछि होते 24th रे रखियो होली इज ऑन 24th ना ए 25th रे 24th ओडिसा रे
24th ता होची संडे
नहीं होली रे केबे मैडम 25th anyway you will decide I mean 24th Sunday ही रखिबा होली 25th बोले
25th होची होली
then okay you will keep it 24th
आपण जदी 23rd रे रखिबे भी मोर किछ असुविधा नहीं
नहीं you will keep it 24th Sunday
23rd ता सैटरडे ना
24th Sunday रखि दबा
आपन को इच्छा पिला जते जोठी अवेलेबल है
24th 11 o'clock रखि दबा dear learner so the 18th class will going to held on 24th 11 am ठीक अछि मैडम कंटिन्यू करू
यदि पिला मन को 23rd इवनिंग ता कंफर्टेबल यू कैन कीप इट
मैडम 23rd मैडम आमे के नथिबो
ओहो आपण नथिबे
सैटरडे रे आमे ऑफिस के आसी नथिबो
आ संडे रे कोन आसीबे
हां सर हां संडे रे आमे आसी
Project is your left parent outside
ओहो
in.
संडे रे आसीबे
हां
अच्छा अच्छा
संडे रे हमर स्टडी सेंटर खुला थिबो
हो ठीक अछि
Alert with apps is visible.
24th रे 11 टा रो गोटे
ओके हां मैम
Bogey, your microphone is on.
you are not audible ma'am
yes
Alert with
Yeah,
apps
it's
is
audible.
visible. Use
so good afternoon students Today we will discuss the Unit 6 and Unit 7. After you understand the basis of our polity and the interface between we as citizens and the administration, then we will proceed to Unit 8, Unit 9, and Unit 10, as well as Unit 11, the changing nature of the Indian state. Okay, so just see. Uh, in last classes, in the previous classes, we had discussed about liberal perspective of state, Marxist perspective of state, and neoliberal perspective of state. The liberal perspective of state has two dimensions. Let me just compile the things. It has two dimensions. One is the early liberal state of, so to say, 17th century, which considered state intervention is a threat to individual freedom. Therefore, the state should have only one and only one function, that is maintenance of law and order. Little later, the early 20th century state thought of giving benefits to the people, fulfilling the basic needs of the people. Let me tell you one thing. Towards the end of 19th century, in Europe, there was a ruler called Prince Bismarck in Austria, and that ruler talked about a theory or an idea which said that state is the patron patriarch, that means state is the father figure of a large family, and state should take the responsibility of the well-being of its citizens or members, because all members are the children of the state. So, being since Bismarck introduced it and he ruled for 2 decades, so naturally its impact on other countries in Europe was too much. And United Kingdom introduced National Insurance Act for uh, workers in 1911. So, and later on, in 1946 or so, say, they came out with another report which said that states should take the responsibility of individual from womb to tomb. That means when the human being is in mother's womb, the state should take care of that child, that means the pregnant or expectant mother, and also it's a life cycle approach. The moment the human body is conceived and the moment the human body perishes or disappears from the world. So this idea was there in 20th century, which continued till 1970s, and even today it is a part of state, the idea of the state. So what you find, this is the liberal version, you can say, that the early liberalists and the 20th century liberalists, the early 20th century liberalists, the late 20th century liberalists are of a different kind. They just replicated the early liberals in a modern state. So just see the difference. You will be able to understand why this is so. Because the socio-cultural context changed in late 20th century. And as you know, administration is a product of its socio-cultural environment. And welfare state was actually becoming more and more well placed, and more money is spent on subsidies, more money spent on government expenditure, on bureaucracy, and as expected, rapid progress was not happening in third world countries. So these liberalists who were actually countering Marxism, that means you just see early liberalism as a critic of early liberalism, Marxist perspective came into being, and as a response, counter response to Marxist perspective, liberalists changed their viewpoint, and we have positive liberalism before us, and positive liberalism and Marxist perspective of state. Both continued simultaneously in different parts of the world. Take, for example, in Eastern Europe, you find the Marxist perspective of the state. In other third world countries, you find the positive liberalist state, which is actually a welfare state. So you are having these three perspectives: early liberalist perspective, early 20th century liberalist perspective, Marxist perspective. We have the welfare state, which is not exactly the early 20th century state. It is rather a combination of capitalism, communism together. So the model of these states is that welfare state. The economy is a mixed economy where you find private sector and public sector is operating or living together in an economy. Public sector is manned by the state and private sector is manned by the individuals, but the state is the regulatory authority for all private sector corporations. So, gradually, what you find today, corporate governance is a part of essential component of public administration. There is a law that is called Company Act. It was there in 1956. Later on, it is amended in 2013. And what you find is that there is too much uh, focus on corporate social responsibility as part of corporate governance. So, this is actually a part of the neoliberal perspective. In between, since we all belong to India, we have left one very important idea, that is Gandhian perspective. What is this Gandhian perspective? Now, Gandhi did not consider himself as a philosopher, nor others also considered Gandhi as a philosopher. But since Gandhian ideas or ideology influenced Indian administration, the philosophy of Indian administration also influenced the people of India to a large extent. Joy Prakash Narayan, Medha Patekar, uh, Aruna Roy, all these people, Anna Hazare, so many personalities are there who even today continue to adore Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, and follow his ideology. So, what is this Gandhian perspective? Let me tell you, Gandhi was very, very critical of the modern state. But like the Marxists, he did not think that the state will disappear. The state will be destroyed by the dictatorship of the proletariat. Gandhi did not say so, but did not also consider the state as a very good institution. See, knew that state is having a very exploitative administration. He was well aware of this fact, and the state, uh, the new state of India, and previously the colonial state, how they did not care for the traditional ideology of the people. That is what Gandhi was uh, thinking. So, one most important thing about Gandhiji is that his idea of state is written in his book Hind Swaraj. So let me tell you what is the economy of Gandhian state or Gandhian perspective. The economy of Gandhian state is, bread labor. Bread labor means you must work to get your bread. That means you must work hard to get your livelihood. That is one thing. Work is worship, that is what he said. Second thing is, the Gandhi was not against industrialization, but was against any type of monopolistic trade. Gandhi was in favor of cottage industry, and Gandhi was always saying that small scale industries and cottage industries will, since they are very labor intensive, they will create employment, and that will be beneficial for the country. He gave much importance on agricultural economy, because he considered village republic as the inner wheel of the larger circle. He calls it as the larger concentric circle. That means the village is the inner wheel of the larger circle, and then we have a group of villages. Then we have the block or this district, and accordingly today, as per Gandhian ideology, we have panchayats. A few panchayats come together, form the panchayat samiti, and a few panchayat samitis come together, form the district panchayat, and this district panchayat uh, gets its strength from the inner wheel, that is the panchayat. So he was not using the word panchayat, but he was talking about village republic. What is this village republic? This village republic is self sufficient. It has everything to fulfill its needs, to serve its needs. But still, all villages should interact with each other for the larger benefit of all. That means Gandhi believed that if the villagers do not interact with each other, I mean, inter-village relationship will enrich, because each outer wheel or each outer circle will get its strength from the inner circle. And inner circle will also become stronger and stronger if the outer circle supports it. That means panchayats will be stronger and stronger if the panchayat samitis, then the district panchayat, then the state administration supports them. So that was the idea of Gandhi state, which is basically spiritualistic in nature, not very commercial or materialistic like the modern state, and its ruling principle is decentralization. More power to the lowest unit. We are actually practicing the similar things today. But however, the regulatory authorities, the clutch of the regulatory authority is so much that panchayats are not able to enjoy freedom, because today the nature of politics has changed. It is no longer ethical politics. So, therefore, the panchayats also find it difficult to fare well. The panchayats which are in the good book of the ruling party gets more benefit than the panchayat which is not in the good book of the ruling party. So let me tell you one thing. It is there in your book that is, uh, you know, the modern state has coercive authority, but the Gandhian state doesn't say that it will not have police forces, but its basic principle, basic guiding or administering principle is non-violence. Modern state promotes homogeneity and is quite impersonal in nature. Whereas the Gandhian state believes in plurality. The state is plural in character. The groups in the state are tolerant, and the state has a rich diversity of customs and ways of life. Since Gandhi is proud of the village republics of India, so naturally the state will have a rural character and he is satisfied with that. So, what you find is that the Indian society believes in non-violence, and non-violence is truth, and the government which believes in non-violence and truth is actually an ethical government. So the government will never be able to do bad for the people. Now in this all this Gandhi talks about a very important thing that is called trusteeship. Remember, today, those who are scholars of corporate governance, they try to state that trusteeship is just the other name for corporate social responsibility. But that is not exactly the truth. Trusteeship is a doctrine. You can say it is a doctrine which combines capitalism and socialism and believes that a change of heart of the rich is possible. So the rich will be considered as the trustees of the society who will not own the means of production. That means state will own everything. The capitalists will not own the means of production, but will be the managers of those means of production. They will work as trustees in the society. So what you find is that in Gandhian concept of state, the state is not that good the way the liberalists feel. The state is not that bad as the Marxists feel. Gandhi considers that it is not possible to get rid of the state. State will be there. But we the individual, need to have faith on nonviolence and truth. Ahimsa and Satya, these two principles will guide the state towards a larger goal. Gandhi was not critical. Gandhi was critical of modern industrialization. It says that modern industrialization only believes that we should extract the natural resources. Gandhi says that we have enough in the nature for our living, but we have very less in the nature to satisfy our greed. So we must extract that much which is actually useful for our living. Beyond that, we must not extract. But that is not the philosophy of the modern state. As we see, the state is, whether it is Odisha or any other state, they are just interested to extract as many natural resources as they can. We have decentralization, but decentralization is only in pen and paper. In a substantive sense, there is no participatory governance. It is only in letter, but not in spirit. So, since we lack the participatory governance, we are yet to reach the Gandhian idea of the state. Okay. I hope you understand what is this Gandhian philosophy. Remember, Gandhi always said that means justifies the end, because the means should be ethical. Then the whole world will, I mean, the God will be with you to help you to get you to reach your goal. So, therefore, he always said, means justifies the end. Okay. Now we will come to the next unit, that is the unit 7, where we have interface between citizens and administration. Now, just remember, no system of governance can survive for a long time without the support of the citizens. It is very important to discuss the concept of legitimacy here. Political sociologists, they said that power means to get the work done. That means power means to influence over the other people. Okay, so uh, the influence of the father over the son is power. The influence of the husband over the wife is power. But here they are not, entitled or not empowered to give punishment to the other person. Though they give at times, but they are not, it is not legal actually. So, uh, when this power has a political connotation, this power turns out to be authority. So the political authority, there are different types of authority: traditional authority, charismatic authority, rational legal authority. The political authority that the state is having is actually power. That is, uh, you know, it is at a, it has a, as it one of its aspect is coercive power, the power to punish for disobedience to law. ଆଇନକୁ ନ ମାନିଲେ ଦଣ୍ଡ ବିଧାନ କରାଯିବ. Therefore, state has been trying its level best to generate legitimacy in the society. They take enough pain to disseminate information to the people to generate legitimacy. Like, we have Man Ki Baat. Why this Man Ki Baat program? Previously, also when Jawaharlal Nehru was the prime minister, he used to write letters to the chief ministers in in every 15 days, and those letters have been compiled by the Tinmurti Library that is situated in Delhi, and it has around 6 volumes. Why did Nehru did? Why first prime minister did so? It is because all the time, by force you cannot generate support. What is required is that you have to persuade people to obey the law that you are making, to obey the rules that you are making. So that is called legitimacy. That means when people ask themselves, why should we obey the state? Then the answer comes, obeying the state is fruitful for us or beneficial for us. So we should obey the state. Is it clear? So this is how you get the chance to uh, you feel that you are convinced that by obeying the state you are not doing any service to the state, rather you are doing service to yourself. So all government authority, all public agencies, they adopt many methods to generate legitimacy for their authority, because they also know that it is not easy to accept it is not easy to force people to obey something. So therefore, government always tries to persuade people to accept some rules and regulations. Now, when the citizens are interacting with the state, they have different roles. They have different forms of interaction with the state. You can just imagine what would be the forms of interaction with the state. If you see a people's movement, they can be protesters, number one. If you see a court, if you find a judgment where it is written, no, in way back in 1972, Raj Narayan had appealed against the decision of the UP government. So Raj Narayan versus uh, government of Uttar Pradesh. So here the citizen is a litigant. That means have entered into conflict with the state at the legal level. Not doing any protest move, not a part of a protest movement, but rather protesting against the state policy in the highest court through legal appeal. The state can be the individual can be a client or a customer. If the individual is a part of the educational institution, there also the individual is a client. If the individual is a part of the uh, the individual is a part of uh, the individual is a beneficiary, then also the individual is a client. If the individual is actually getting some benefits from the state, like we have the BSNL connection and all, so they are also the individual or the citizen is a client. So in this role the individual interacts with the state. Besides, the individual, somebody who is a shopkeeper, let's take for example, he pays GST. Here, the state is the regulatory authority, the individual is the regulatee. And besides, you have individual participate in public affairs. That means when there is some, the state seeks some information, or the state seeks some suggestions on certain draft legislation, the individual participates in giving those informations. So the individual interacts with the state as a client or customer, as a regulatee, as a litigant, as a participant citizen, and as a protester. How the state responses to all these people? Now, the state adopts, many theoreticians are saying the state adopts a very manipulative mode. That means just having incremental public policies, the state tries to satisfy the citizens. That is what I am trying to say. That a state adopts a manipulative mode. Okay, you are asking for 100 rupees salary. The state considers certain things, then says that you will be given 50 rupees, but in the form of this and this and this. And the people thinks that okay, we are getting 50 rupees right now, let us obey that, let us accept that, and next year we will again demand for 100 more. This is how the state tries to manipulate the situation. Many a time you find that if there is worker strike, what is the approach of the state to deal with the worker strike? There, the state takes into confidence a group of workers who belong to one particular union and convinces them about the benefits of their solution, and in the process they negotiate with that group, and finally the strike comes to an end. So many theorists like Herbert Marcuse, like Gramsci, they have talked about the manipulative mode of response of the state. They also say that a capitalistic state at times is very anti participatory, doesn't allow the individual to participate in the protest against the state. That is what is happening right now. Many a times people say that such and such journalist was killed because he was expressing freedom of opinion, and such person was the way the civil society interprets. Why there is a crackdown on the news channel News Click? It is because the News Click channel, media channel, was becoming very critical of the policies of the present regime. So this is, theoretician would say that this is some type of anticipatory mode adopted by the state. Besides, what you find that the state is many times, in a true sense of the term, wants that people should participate in the public sphere. People should know about it. People should participate in the public sphere. So this is how you know, citizens interface with the state. What are the institutional devices? And there is a very, we have ample research on the interface between citizen and administration. What we find, what is the result of these research? Citizens' ignorance about procedures involved in getting things done. We are ignorant of the way the things could be done. We just say, ये नहीं होगा. So, state escapes because we are ignorant. Simply saying, state escapes from giving a service because we are ignorant. Many things are there. I'll tell you one example. Once I lost my mobile. Okay. And to get the SIM card, I have to file a FIR. And if you go to the police station again, you have to wait there and all. So my daughter said that, let me try. I had read somewhere that these days FIR can be filed online. She tried, she took a lot of time, with all patience. And finally, my FIR was lodged online, and I took a piece of paper from the online mode, a printout, went to the BSNL office, got my SIM card. Now, what would have been the other step? I would have gone to the police station, waited there, and would have given an FIR and taken a copy and gone to the BSNL. Here I could do it sitting at home, but I was not able to do it previously because of ignorance. Many a times citizens are ignorant of the procedures involved in getting things done. Second is unhelpful attitude of government officials. You will hardly find, a few government officials are pro people, think that people should get the benefit. Many officials would be there in this group. You must agree with me. A few government officials are pro people. Otherwise, most of the government officials are not sensitive towards the people's sufferings. What is the result? Result is inordinate delay and long waiting period to get your benefits, which is actually due to you as a citizen. Prevalence of favoritism in administration is too much. You are a common man. You go there waiting for hours and hours, not getting your things done. A very important person enters into the office and gets the work done. So this favoritism always exists in administration. This is not me who is telling so. In the last previous class we had discussed Friedrichs, the Chinese-born American philosopher, had proved this through research that this is a feature of a transitional society where you do not find any autonomy of the professional life. The professional life is always uh, affected by our uh, personal feelings. Rampant corruption among officials in you know in third world countries. Long back, I read a book, State and Politics in India. There was an article written by an Western scholar, an Indian scholar placed in a Western country. He has come to India and he is trying to know the nature of bureaucracy. What was written, he just observing the her observation or field work is evening time. So in the evening time, he goes to a village and just sits in the barandas of some people and all, where there is some interaction is going on ଲୋକମାନେ ବସି ଗପସପ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. So in that situation, the researcher finds that what is the content of the gossip? The content of the gossip is that official was asking for 100 rupees. I could manage to give him 50 rupees and get my work done. Another person also expresses his efficiency in getting the work done by shedding some tears and just getting the work done by the official. Or some other person is saying that somebody, I could not manage the show and I had to give 500 rupees. So this is the discussion about not higher level bureaucracy. This is a discussion about the lower bureaucracy, the lower level bureaucracy. The author writes that this is a discussion about the lower level bureaucracy, where also we find corruption is rampant. And the villagers are not dealing with the higher level bureaucracy. They are dealing with the lower level and the middle level bureaucracy, and particularly the lower level, because they hardly meet the block development officer BDO or even the district collector. They interact with the officials in the block office. So they were talking about that officials in the block office. And what is there in between this, the relationship between the citizen and administration? Middlemen play a very pivotal role to create the link between the citizen and administration. So this is, since it is difficult for the rural people to get the work done, middleman has a has a very distinct entry into the rural society than to the urban society. And the urban dwellers are much critical of administration. They have less ignorance, and they try to get the work done by, they know the procedure actually. So what are the institutional devices that we have to deal with people? What are the institutional devices? The first institutional device is ombudsman. Today, what you find is that for every purpose, government has appointed ombudsman. For insurance, government has appointed ombudsman. For banks, government has appointed ombudsman. The other day, I came to know that we have 14 state universities. Government has appointed ombudsman, one ombudsman for 5 universities. So that means today we have 3 ombudsmen for all these 14 universities. So this idea of ombudsman emerged in the Scandinavian countries, and it first emerged in 1809 in Sweden. Then in Finland, no, 1809 in Sweden, nearly after 110 years, after a century, in 1919, ombudsman was established in Finland. So you can just say the 20th century was the era of ombudsman. It's a citizen grievance redressal mechanism. People can put forth their grievances before the ombudsman, and the ombudsman will facilitate to resolve the grievances. In many countries like United Kingdom, we have parliamentary commissioners. These commissioners define the domain of maladministration. Their work is to identify, or work is to analyze the work done by the administration whether it is good administration or whether it is maladministration. The parliamentary commissioner has free access to any information so long as it is not certified to be unavailable in the public interest. So, parliamentary commissioner gets all information and tries to resolve the conflicting situation between the individual and the state. Third is administrative courts. These administrative courts, they also help to give rapid justice, because justice delayed is justice denied. So these administrative courts, which have their origin in France, actually, they have their origin in France. They uh, they try to resolve the problems of the people as quick as possible. Besides, we have the citizens charter. Before the people ask for any information, the citizen charter, which emerged in 1994 in United Kingdom and was introduced by John Major, the then Prime Minister. This citizen charter, is, meant for wide publicity on the standards of performance of public agencies. If you go to the assure quality of services, access to information, choices to and consultation with the citizens, simplified procedures for receipt of complaints, and provision of performance scrutiny with citizens' involvement. Now, if you go to a post office, you find there is a board. If you go to the bank, you find there is a board. Basically, the next time you go to a post office, you see there is a board outside the post office, which is actually the citizen's charter, where it is written that a speed post to Delhi will take this much time. To within Odisha, it will take this much time. To international, if it is an international post, it will take this much time. And the website URL is given on which you can track the path of your speed post. So this is actually a citizen charter. Even if you go to a bank, outside the bank it is written, if you have any grievances against the bank, and if the bank fails to satisfy, to resolve your grievances, then you can write to the ombudsman. So, and this ombudsman also works actually. If you, it's not that these are just दिखावे को नहीं है. These you can, they work. If you can try once. If you have any banking problem, you can write to the ombudsman. So similarly, for every type of product like insurance, also we have ombudsman. So and every organization today in Odisha also writes down what is exactly is the what is the what type of service will be given by the public agency. That is actually the content of the citizen charter. Okay, so this is how administration and uh, citizens interact with each other. And at times, we have a huge population. Take for example India. We have a huge population. All people are not dissatisfied with government. Some are satisfied, some are not satisfied. So taken together, legitimacy is generated and people uh, gets some people get the benefits, some fail to get the benefits. Next time they try, they might be in the list of those who have got the benefits. This is how a balance is created, and the state a balance is created, and the state can continue its rule over the people. So this is all about the citizen administration interface. You will also get long questions on this. And citizen charter can be a short question. Ombudsman can be a short question. Let me tell you, what is the Indian version of ombudsman? Can you tell me what is the Indian version of ombudsman? It is Lokpal. The Lokpal Act 2013 that established the ombudsman in India. Now we will now go to Unit 8, which is Democratic People's Struggles. Democratic People's Struggles. Now let us discuss about India. India has a democratic state. People have right to resistance, not exactly right to revolt, right to resistance. Because if you if if you revolt against the state, you will be considered as a as engaged in anti-state activities. So you will be booked under, you may say, TADA or something else, or UPA, whatever it is. So you are allowed to engage in democratic struggles, but not anti-state protest movements. Now, India, the political system in India accepts the existence of a civil society within the state. It is not India. All countries in the world, they accept a civil society, the existence of a civil society. So what is this civil society? The civil society is the part of the society which are actively engaged in analyzing state policies and bringing the public agencies to track. That means if the public agency is corrupted, then the civil society is after that how to expose the corruption. If the public agency is very, very indifferent towards people, then civil society is there to activate the civil society is there to activate the citizens so that they can open their eyes towards the corrupted officials. So civil society, sometimes civil society is equated with the non-governmental organizations. But there is a difference. What it is? The non-governmental organizations are registered bodies. They registered under the Society Registration Act. As per the Act, they are engaged in providing services to the people. But even if you are not a registered body, but you are dissatisfied uh, with the administration of the public agency or state authority, you people can come together and can raise their voice against the public agency. So these people are also called civil society. They are not registered bodies, but they are a part of the civil society because, you know, civilized society. That means civil society is a concept which came into being with the theory of John Locke. John Locke, the English philosopher of 17th century. John Locke talked about two contracts. He said in the first stage of contract, let me recollect the things. I had told you that John Locke belongs to that group of philosophers who said that state is man-made, and prior to the state, there was a period when there was state of nature, which is pre-political. And in that state of nature, since there was no common interpreter of law, there was turbulence, there was conflict, and there was disturbances, indiscipline. Therefore, they entered into enter into a contract to create a civilized society, and they named it as civil society. That means each and every member of that society is conscious, is having political consciousness, is believes in togetherness, believes in group activity, and believes that the government is a trust. Government is based on consent. We have created the government. So if the government does not serve our purpose, we can dissolve that government. This concept of civil society later on in 18th century was discussed by the German philosopher Hegel. Hegel also talked about civil society. Now he said civil state is a better, state represents the universal altruism. If you have reached that stage of developing a state or constituting a state, you feel that state state to obey the state, freedom of the individuals enjoy freedom by obeying the state. So prior stage of state is civil society, where there is a common interest, public interest. At the same time, individuals are having their own individual interest. So sometimes self interest pollutes the group interest or the public interest or national interest. So therefore civil society is a combination of universal altruism and particularism, self interest, as well as collective interest. But in a state, you have only collective interest. So, therefore, state is a more civilized form than the civil society. But, however, civil society is better than the previous archaic societies or tribal societies where there was much indiscipline. Today we are talking more about civil society. We are talking more about civil society. Now, in your study material, there is a analysis or in detail how people could, how the civil society could persuade the state to bring a law which is very revolutionary or radical in nature. That is Right to Information Act 2005. It is a case study given to you. Besides this case study, you have many such case studies where the state has been compelled to draft a law like the Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence Act, like the Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplaces Act, like that is called POS Act, like the Criminal Amendment Act, which was the rape law was amended after the Nirbhaya case, which happened in Delhi. A paramedico was raped and killed. So, what you find is that mm, in you can take any example how the civil society engages in persuading the state to get the things done. Another example is Anna Hazare movement, where no NGO was involved. It was people at large who were involved. And people were convinced, for which Anna Hazare, the octogenarian Gandhian, was demanding for. And people extended their support to Anna Hazare. Similarly, people extended their support together to the parents of that girl who is metaphorically called as Nirbhaya, because she was in a public transport and the unfortunate incident happened. If you are in a public transport and you are facing such an incident, that means it is you are questioning the state functionality, the efficiency of the state agencies, state administration. So people across the country emerged and they raised their voice against the government. Government was forced to set up a commission that is called Burma Commission. Burma was a judge, and finally the law was existing criminal law was amended. So what happened in right to information? Actually, the leadership to right to information was given by an administrator, Aruna Roy, who was in Indian civil service. And during his prime years, when she was a collector, she found that how the administration, in the name of official secrecy, is not giving information to the people. People do not have ration card, but the administration is not ready to say why they have not got the ration card. So Aruna Roy finally resigned from her job and gave leadership to an organization known as Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan, MKSS, Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan. So they were engaged in struggles for issues related to land, wages, women's rights, prices, and communal violence. Who are the members of this organization? The members of this organization were landless workers and marginal peasants. In 85% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. Marginal farmers means less than 1 acre, and small means less than 2 acre. So what you find is that these no, between 1 acre to 2 acre. So the members of this organization, it was registered in 1990, May 1990, but prior to that, it was also raising the uniting people and raising their voice against the failure of administration by citing cases. In 1994, MKSS took a new challenge of to fight against corruption through Jan Sunwai, which is known as public hearing. Jan Sunwai means public hearing. Now they invited very eminent personalities of the state, and they uh, eminent personalities of the state, and they had a informal court, and before those judges, people showed the documents and also told about their grievances. Now, MKSS conducted a series of public hearings, and one tried to get the information from the administration, but it failed. Finally, the movement was such, the movement was such intense that the stage demonstrations, dharnas, to get the information from the government. And by that time, right to information bill was already drafted, and it was in the table of the government, parliament, and it had gone to the standing committee, and finally the government decided to work upon the draft bill, and we have a very radical law today, Right to Information Act. So, what can be the result of people's democratic struggle? Right to information is just a small case study. So, if such type of questions come, you can answer those questions. Here we have another case study is also given in your study material, that is the Chilika movement, a case study where the here the movement was to close the prawn culture, which was actually polluting the environment. So this is how you can see how democratic people struggles in any country. Why should we know about it as students of public administration? It is because, as I told you, different theories said that administration responds to the socio-cultural economic environment. Now, here also, if there is a democratic struggle, administration responds to those uh, to, to those people's protests, to those democratic struggles, and does the accordingly bring the legislation so that people are satisfied with the administration and legitimacy is generated. Okay, so this is all about that unit. If you read more and more, then you will be able to understand it. Now, right now we have completed 3 units. So let me take 10 minutes to answer your questions. Then I will proceed to unit 9, that is changing norms of social equity, participation, flexibility, and autonomy. Any question? No question. Any question? Yes, yes.
Ma'am, can you please explain Burma Commission again?
What is?
Burma Commission.
Yes, Burma Commission. I think in 2012, a paramedico was returning from her work and was in a public transport in Delhi, and employees in the bus, including the helper who was less than 18, they committed a heinous crime and they raped her, and they were very cruel. So that is how after the incidents, they threw her on the road and escaped. Then somehow or other, she was taken to the hospital. Some people saw her. She was taken to the hospital, and she could explain the story. And uh, it actually provoked the conscience of the nation. People across India came together, raised their voice against the government. That is this safety and security that the Indian state is providing to people. You are using a public transport and you are not safe in that public transport. And it is only 9 o'clock in the night. What then they asked, what type of safety security does women who are going out of the house have in such a state? There was so much hue and cry as if the whole government will crumble down, the government will lose its trust. Uh, the movement, it was like so. People in large numbers, see somewhere TV footage देखले जानी है वो. People in large numbers, men and women, young boys and girls, they gathered at India Gate, having a candle in their hand, and they raised protest against the government. They did not leave the place till the law was passed. The government finally committed that the convicts, I mean the criminals, will be punished, and after many years the criminals were punished, and accordingly the government set up a commission to revisit the rape law and also the juvenile uh, delinquency law. So that is how the Burma, it's a sort of thick report. Such a thick report, but it is very interesting. If you get it online, you can read it. That is Burma Commission. Uh, for that purpose, it was created, and also later on, government accepted the Burma Commission recommendations and. Uh, amended the rape law and also amended the Juvenile Delinquency Act. So this is the result of people's engaged participation in public sphere. At times it happens, people extended support in large numbers to Anna Hazare, and that is how the Lokpal Act came into being in 2013. The parliament unanimously passed a resolution, and copy of that resolution was given to the protesters. See, the parliamentarians of India, the members of parliament have unanimously agreed to bring the act by such and such date. And accordingly they also did that. But however, the protesters even today say this is not actually what we wanted. This is not Lokpal, but it is Jokpal, because it is a way of nurturing the corrupt administrators or political leaders, and it is not exactly what we wanted. But however, the movement dissolved, and later on, it did not happen again to bring amendments in the existing Lokpal Act, which is criticized as Jokpal Act. Okay. Are, are you clear? Is it
Yes,
clear?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any
You
other
can.
question? Otherwise, we will move to changing norms of social equity, participation, flexibility, and autonomy. This is very important. And also social participation, issues of gender, weaker sections, and environment. And changing nature of the Indian state. These three units we can discuss. Okay. So we will start the unit 9 since you do not have any questions. We will just start the unit 9. Uh, what do you find? What is this social equity? Participation you have understood actually, but what is social equity? What is equality? Then we can say what is equity. What is equality? Equality is samanata, equity is samata. That is how we do the English translation. Equality is a concept, it's a liberal concept. And about this right to equality, it was re-established, reinforced during French Revolution. That all men are equal, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are white or black, Hindu or Muslim or Christian, all men are equal. Why all men are equal? Because all have one thing in common, that is the human brain. And human brain has something called rationality or reason. That distinguishes human society from other societies. So, since everybody has reason, it hardly matters whether you belong to the lower caste or the upper caste, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are of this religion or that religion. So, this is what you find now, and uh, equality, political theories say, is not absence of special privilege. Undoubtedly, equality means everybody should be treated uniformly or equally. Undoubtedly, it is clear. But that is not enough. It is not exactly absence of privilege. It's a word which says that everybody should get its due, what is due to him. That means equality is a leveling process. Equality means to bring everybody to the equal level. Then only they can compete with each other. So when the society is an unequal society, some are at the bottom and some are at the top, and the top prevented the bottom to rise in life, then in such a case, you have to think about bringing the lower level, lower bottom of bringing the people at the bottom to a plain level. That means to establish a flat society where everybody has equal opportunity to rise in life. And for that, for establishing this type of equality, what you require is law. And this is called equity. When you try to establish equality with the help of public policy, that is called social equity. And the main aim of social equity is to create a egalitarian society where everybody will have access to equal access to all opportunities. Equal access to all opportunities. So you are creating certain environment by giving certain facilities, that is protective discrimination, that is called protective discrimination, to, to protect certain classes or castes. The state is discriminating. So this is not against equality. This is actually something called distributive justice. This is called distributive justice, about which long back Aristotle had also recommended in his philosophy. What is this distributive justice? Means you should have proportionate justice. You should give everybody proportionately what is due to him. ଯାହାର ଯେତିକି ଦରକାର ତାକୁ ସେତିକି ଦିଆଯିବ. In fact, this was also the philosophy or principle of Marxist state, that is, from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. ଲୋକର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ଅନୁସାରେ ତାକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ଯୋଗାଇ ଦିଆଯିବ. So this is the expanded understanding of equality, which means a leveling process by which a leveling process by which the people at the lower level will be brought consciously to a particular level to compete with others. I hope you understand this. This is called social equity. You are having a society where you are creating an environment by which everybody will have equal access to all opportunities, which will develop his or her personality, which will help him or her in his or her career. So this is actually social equity. Now, to establish social equity, what is required is that we need to develop a participative behavior. We must let the government know what are our problems. Otherwise, how the government will know? So people must engage themselves. People must participate in the public sphere. People must participate. I told you about people's struggle. Those who protested, strategized the protest, and pressurized the government to bring such a law, you just think, had there been no such protest, had there been no such engagement by the people, do you think Right to Information Act would have come? No. Government suo moto doesn't bring any legislation unless and until there is demand from the people. Since long, we knew that our families are not safer places for our daughters and daughter-in-laws. But still, we were hesitant of entering into the private sphere of family. We always considered we always advocated that family is in the private sphere and the state should not enter into the private life of the individuals. When many research studies established that our families are places where human rights of young girls, the girl child, the young women are violated. And because of this research, finally, and because of the protest of women activists, finally, government came out with a law, that is the protection of women against domestic violence, which gave right to residence to each and every woman, right to residence, which is very important. Previously, what was happening? If somebody, if the, if the husband or the brother or anyone is angry with the daughter or the daughter-in-law, get out of my, they used to say, get out of my house. But today, as per the law, no one can say so because the law gives right to residence to women. You may not like it, but she will stay in that house because the house also belongs to her. This is the idea. So this is the basic thing, and government has also fast track courts which will resolve the domestic violence cases without thinking anything. The government will just, the courts will make arrangements for maintenance, and the other party is bound to give maintenance. So this is a law which became possible only because of the participation of the citizens, participatory activities of the citizens. So, citizens' participation, active participation, or you can say proactive citizens, create a particular socio-cultural environment which goes beyond the traditional customs and sets out a goal to establish the modern values. Okay, so this is how, by trying to establish equality, today we have gone much beyond. We have a law called Social Security for Unorganized Workers. Now, government, if you just analyze it, part of your research, you will see that government is giving pension to all these unorganized workers, trying to do something for them which was not there previously. Social Security Act for Unorganized Workers 2008. Besides that, we have in Odisha the Construction Workers Welfare Board, which is providing benefits to the construction workers. And construction, the concept of construction worker is a wider concept. Each and every worker engaged in every trade where the product is used for the household, that worker is considered as a construction worker. That means those who are working in the construction site, those who are engaged as plumbers, those who are engaged as electricians, those who are working in the plywood factory or the bricklaying industry, all these are considered as construction workers. And they have registered themselves in the construction worker. Previously, I was telling you that how ignorance of the people makes the government or administration inefficient. Here also you find that we have many construction workers in Odisha. Government makes many efforts to uh, stop the people from going to the bricklin industries, because we know that there is rampant exploitation of human labor in bricklin industries. But whatever may be done, the people are determined to work in the bricklin industry, because the bricklin industry gives them advance. Before they go to the area, they give them, the owners give them lump sum advance. That means per person maybe 40,000 or 45,000. If six persons from your family are going, see how much amount of money the family or the household is getting. And this lump sum amount of money is necessary for them, either to repay their loans or to uh, meet the daughter's marriage or to construct a house, whatever it is. So, therefore, they are ready to take the pain for 7 to 8 months, and they are ready to face any type of exploitation. So, the with with the people's participation, the government is trying to bring such laws, but unless and until people participate actively, the laws cannot be implemented properly. That is what is the scenario right now. We have many progressive laws because people are ignorant. They are not demanding to the people. Right now many articles are coming that many real beneficiaries are excluded from getting a ration card. Now the government said that, exclusion errors always occur in administration. Exclusion errors always occur in administration. If such errors occur in administration, then what is the importance of Food Security Act? And if food security is not ensured, as per the law, government will pay food security allowance also. Is the person who is poorest of the poor is in a condition to teach the government, to sensitize the government? No, then the person is deprived of the benefits which he is supposed to get. This is not happening because, the administration is not having flexibility. The administration is not exercising autonomy. Now, what is this flexibility? Flexibility means, suppose to get grants for house burning, then you have to produce your Aadhaar card, or you have to produce your BPL card. You might not be having either of these. Now, today the Aadhaar agency is facing a challenge in the sense that it is difficult to make the Aadhaar of the aged persons, because it is difficult to match their jo bio metrics. So therefore, the government decided, how the government responded for giving bhatta. The government decided that the panchayat is the right person, right agency to distribute the allowances at the doorstep, because panchayat knows who is who. So the sarpanch will be responsible for having any exclusion errors. No one should be excluded, and no one should be deprived of food security. Okay? What is this autonomy? Autonomy, as I told you, Fredericks told about this autonomy. As you develop more and more, the society is capable of dissociating the public life from the private life. Lesser the development, more is the entanglement of the public life and the private life, and you find many such situations where there is more overlapping, more corruption, more hypocrisy. You find you say something and you do something. Or you only find we only find Salah officers who are not efficient or uh, corruption free. So, as you grow in terms of specialization, in terms of development, your life becomes, your mindset also become autonomous. You then think that how can I commit any type of maladministration uh, for any purpose that which will hamper my prestige. So this is the actually the changing norms of social equity, participation, flexibility, and autonomy. In this social equity, what is more important is the issue of gender. Previously, we were using the word women because we were considering the mankind in terms of binaries. Now, we are not considering the mankind in terms of binaries. Rather, we are considering the mankind in terms of plurality. We can have as many genders as possible under this earth, under in this planet. So we are accepting all types of people having diverse sexual orientations. Transgenders, where everybody is included in this group. We are trying our level best to understand the concept of gender and to understand how gender is related to development. If we do not create a gender friendly society, we will miss the path of development. So, what is this gender friendly society? Basically, the society wholeheartedly must allow each and every gender to prosper in life, to move forward, to do something constructive in life. We might be having a few transgender, a very small transgender population in our country, but they are also important to us so far as development is considered. If we have half of the population as women, so women, that is 50% of any population, and that within that population we have equally young girls, the girl child, and women now, as adults we have. So uh, it is our main responsibility to see how women can be integrated with the development process of the country along with other genders. So that is more important to understand the gender issue. Why? It is because, women constitute half of the world population in every country, because that is how nature has created a balance. With our intervention in some areas like Niagara, we have a very, very alarming adverse sex ratio, or you can say negative sex ratio. So that we are working hard to address those questions. Okay. Then comes environment. Now participation is very important. Participation of people is very important to have a clean environment. The people must cooperate to have a clean environment. So this is called issues of gender, unit 10 seat, issues of gender, weaker sections, and environment. So we are trying to address the gender needs of the different gender. What are these gender needs? These gender needs are two types. One is strategic gender needs, and the other is practical gender needs. That means, suppose you are traveling, you need a toilet on the highway, national highway, but there is no such toilet. It happened long, long years back. But today, in every petrol pump, we have a toilet with water. We do not know about other countries, other states, but it is possible in Odisha. I do not know about the interiors of Odisha where such petrol pumps are there, whether there is toilet or not. But this happens in all, more or less, in coastal areas. This is one way of addressing the practical gender needs. But what are the strategic gender needs? The strategic gender needs can be, it's possible, uh, if we have a deeper analysis of the societal problem. Like, we see that whatever may be the situation, the girls are getting married at 18 years. They are not in a condition to improve their career. So, therefore, the government observed this again and again. Finally, the government has changed it, and it is 21 years is the marriageable age for girls, and also 21 for the marriageable age for the boys. So, what you find here, what you find here, that this is very important. Uh, this legislation will again sensitize people to delay the marriage of their daughter, and the daughters will be able to get chance to have education and to pursue their career. Now, um, you know, this type of legislation, this type of effort is indicative of addressing the strategic gender needs, where the change is directed change, and the person who are bringing the change is convinced that this is how change will come. Okay. Also, another way of looking at the gender needs is to engender your budget. If there is no allocation, how will you think of doing certain things? So, in every budget, there is a component. How much of it is spent for the well being of the people? That is very important. Unless and until you have allocation in a democratic setup, how will you get the money to implement the law? So, this is important from that sense. We have our weaker sections, thinking that our weaker, the youth in our families, BPL families, are suffering a lot. So we decided to bring them under the EWS category. So EWS category is not a caste category. It doesn't ask you in which to which caste or class you belong. You are just a scholar for the EWS category. So this is how we try to address the needs of the weaker sections. We also try to address the needs of the environment by any means, because environment will keep us healthy. We are inhaling the wind, we are inhaling the air. If the air is not pollution free, how can we get benefit from the legislations related to environment? Okay. So, we are trying our level best. Today, there is a concept in social science which is called as carbon trading or carbon footprints. What it is? These concepts are meant to showcase what is the level of carbon emission of a country. If you go to Delhi, you will find the environment is so polluted that if you come out of the house, your eyes start burning. It is not the scenario today. It is the scenario since 25 years. So the government decided to go for instead of petrol, to go for gas in vehicles. But however, it is difficult to control the environmental pollution. We have water bodies, but because of the high-rise buildings, these water bodies are getting obstructed and polluted. So, when you are reading your study material, you just relate it to your environment, particularly for this paper, State, Society and Public Administration. You will be able to understand the study material in a much, much better way. Okay. So any questions do you have? I think you must be getting the assignments. You must have received the assignments by now. Have you received the assignment?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can answer those assignments, and if yes,
Yes, ma'am. We can answer.
If you find any difficulty, then you can ask me.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then we should wind up the class.
Thank you, ma'am.
You go through the units that I taught you yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
No problems.
Uh, no, ma'am.
Okay, okay then. Good. So we will wind up the class now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.